All right, good afternoon or good morning, everybody. This is your Facebook meteorologist, Sean Bagden here, and we are live to talk to you today about a potential flash flooding threat across the southern plains, as well as a low-end tornado threat as well. That's going to be existing across the Red River Valley and through Dallas, Texas, and areas such as that. So let's get into it here. Currently, we have up the flash flood outlook right now for today into tomorrow for the southern plains. And as you can see, the Weather Prediction Center has put a slight risk for flash flooding across the southern plains here from southwestern Oklahoma up through the southern panhandle of Texas down towards the Lubbock area here. Do think that we are going to see this moved off to the north slightly here given latest model guidance, but we'll break that down here in a couple of seconds. And we're also going to be looking at the severe weather threat as well. This is from the Storm Prediction Center for tomorrow. They do have a slight risk out for the Red River area, Red River Valley here, as well as down through Dallas and some of the northern hill country of Texas as well. We're going to be breaking this down. This will likely be an overnight tornado threat tonight. And we're also going to be breaking down the flooding. So first, let's get into the flash flood guidance. What do we need in order to get flash flooding in terms of rainfall totals? And then we'll break down what the models are showing, and we'll see where the greatest chance of that flash flood threat is as we go through the overnight tonight and especially into tomorrow as a low pressure system moves out of the New Mexico area here and ejects into the southern plains. So right here, we have our flash flood guidance for the southern plains. And as you can see, a large swath of the area that is in that slight risk generally needs about 3 to 4 inches of rain, which is quite a bit of rain in order to get to potential flash flooding situation across this area here. So this is something we're going to have to be looking at as we're going through the models here, keeping this in mind that around 3 to 4 inches, some areas about 2.5 to 3 inches are needed for flash flooding to occur, especially back here into the Texas panhandle, southern Texas panhandle. We'll have to watch that closely as we get into the models as well. And then into southern Kansas here, eastern Kansas, we also only need about 2.5 to 3 inches of rain. So let's get into the models here really quick. We're going to try and make this brief for you guys just so that we can get on to the other weather events that we're needing to talk about as well today. We've got a lot going on. But this is what we have for right about now. We have general scattered showers across the southern Texas panhandle here. And these are going to be expanding through time. As you can see, we start getting these banding features starting to develop here with moderate rain or so. And this is going to be tracking with the low off to the north and east as well. So training of these bands is certainly a possibility here as we go through the afternoon today and especially into the evening hours. As you can see, this band of rain continues to expand through the day today and into the overnight hours. And this is that area of low pressure we're talking about ejecting anywhere off to the north and east of this area of low pressure right here is where we can expect the best forcing, the best lifting mechanism. And that's where likely the heaviest rain is going to fall, where the center of this low pressure is able to track. So right now, models have been very consistent with this moving through the southern Texas panhandle and up into the Canadian Texas, the Canadian Texas area, Woodward, Oklahoma, Buffalo, Oklahoma, does look to be in the most favored area for this heavy banding of rain. Look at this as we head into the morning hours of Monday here. Extreme rainfall rates are going to be occurring here across this area from small portion of southern Kansas here into the Woodward, Oklahoma area, Buffalo, Oklahoma, through Canadian Texas, down through Amarillo. This is likely going to be the most impacted area. And remember, some of these areas in southern Kansas here only need 2 to 3 inches of rain. And same thing down here toward the Amarillo area in order to get flash flooding. And with these sorts of rainfall rates that these models are popping out right here, we're likely to see several thunderstorms training over the same area with heavy rain, likely going to be exceeding those flash flood guidance numbers here across the area to the north and east of this low. And you can see it continues to pummel the area through the morning hours on Monday, and then likely lifting out and into Kansas by the afternoon hours. As you can see here, this is where our potential severe weather threat does exist here in the morning hours on Monday, likely the early morning hours here. You see this squall line starting to develop, and this is going to be quite interesting, especially if we can get any breaks in the clouds out in front of this line, as wind shear is quite favorable and forcing is also quite favorable with this very intense area of low pressure for tornadoes. The only thing that we are having a little bit of an issue with here is the instability. But the question is the wind shear and the forcing of this low enough to override that? If we can get just the slightest amount of surface-based instability out in front of this line here, we're likely going to be seeing potentially even strong tornadoes out where surface-based instability is able to develop, because we have some very incredible looking dynamics aloft for a potential strong tornado threat. The only caveat to that is that weaker instability, but forcing wise, we're looking pretty good here for a potential threat, especially across this Red River Valley down through the Dallas area. But let's have a quick look and break that down, this potential tornado threat here, as it is super conditional right now from the looks of things at models. Wow, that actually turned out to be a little better than expected here. I actually have not looked at the 12Z run. It has greatly increased the surface-based instability here across the Red River Valley and down through Dallas. This has been a trend in the models that they have been increasing that instability out in front of the line here, but certainly was not expecting to see it break the cap on this much of an area right here. So let's actually break down a sounding here really quick and see what we can find down as this line is able to get into that Red River area toward the Dallas area, and see what we can find, see what we can analyze here. And yep, this is exactly what I was expecting to see. You do have that skinny cape here, but lots of forcing aloft you can see here with that extremely negative omega values here. That's probably what is breaking the cap here, if anything, since we're not really expecting to get too much in the way of sunshine with all this forcing in place and these high dew points. Generally, we're expecting a lot of clouds out in front of this line. So it's probably that extreme forcing we're getting from this area of low pressure. And you can also see we do have those southeasterly, south-southeasterly winds at the surface here, combined with southwesterlies aloft, which is able to give us this curvature within the lowest 0 to 1 kilometers of this photograph here. When you start seeing that pink line there bending like that, that's usually when you start getting those turning of winds with height. And we've been seeing that before with models, but we haven't had the instability in place. But now we do have that surface-based instability all the way up through the tropopause here. So definitely a very interesting situation developing on our midday model runs today. Definitely increasing the chance of a potential tornado event here. Isolated tornado event, but potentially even strong tornadoes could be possible given that shear we have aloft here, the helicity values we have. We have a lot of area of spin here, generally defined as the area between this curve here. The greater that area is, the more spin you have in the atmosphere. And generally, we're looking for around 200 for a value right here. The higher that is, the more spin you have in the 0 to 1 kilometer. And we're well up into the 300s here. So certainly interesting for a strong tornado threat, given the parameters we have in play here. So let's have a quick look at where that's going to be most possible by looking deeper into the models here. You can see those southeasterly winds here pumping in the moisture and also elongating those photographs up through the Dallas area, through the Red River Valley. And the one important thing we're going to have to look at here is our low-level jet. That's what's going to really get things rolling here. And you can see it is maximized here pretty much where the SPC is that slight risk, maybe a little bit off to the east of that, might get started a little bit earlier than they're currently anticipating. But you can see we have about 70 knots of low-level jet energy right here coming into the Red River area. Lawton, Oklahoma is also in this area as well. And that's also pushing in to just north of the Dallas region. So expecting likely a tornado event developing along the squall line here and moving east through time. The only thing is how long is that surface-based instability going to be around? Because that jet energy is still here through the next several frames before it lifts off to the north and into Arkansas, southern Missouri area. So let's have a look at how long that surface-based instability is going to last, and that's going to be the determining factor of how widespread of a tornado threat this is going to be. As you can see, we do have that jet energy right here, but the only problem is that we are lacking that surface-based instability. Am I sharing my screen here? No, I'm not. Let me do this. There we go. Now we're sharing our screen. Perfect. So this is that surface-based instability. We do not have any surface-based instability as we roll through the afternoon hours on Monday. So we're going to have to take a quick step back here. And there we go. That's that surface-based instability we're talking about. So likely looking at about a 6-hour window here where we could have tornado potential, especially across the Red River Valley here from Lawton, Oklahoma, down through Wichita Falls. And then as you move into the mid-morning hours, I'd say, we're going to see that move off to the east, maybe right up to Dallas, likely not impacting Dallas as you start getting into that more stable air mass there. But certainly this area from Dallas, Lawton, Wichita Falls, that kind of circle there, certainly watch out for the potential for a significant tornado threat, as we do have many factors at play to suggest that we'll see some strong tornadoes and tornadoes of any variety being pretty likely here along the front end of the squall line. A lot of these are likely to be rain wraps, so you're not going to see them. So if a tornado warning is issued for your area, assume that there's going to be a tornado with that tornado warning and get into that lowest level of your home or interior room as well. So just make sure you pay attention with that, as these are going to be fast moving storms. They're going to be hidden tornadoes just due to the amount of moisture in the area, likely rain wrapped tornadoes. So let's get back into the flooding here now that we've gone over the tornado threat for the Red River Valley here. Flooding threat is going to be a little bit further north. So let's have a quick look at our dew points right here, just so we can show you the kind of moisture we're dealing with. All right, here we go. This is the moisture we are going to be dealing with here. We have a big pool of 60s to low 70s dew points here running right up along this kind of frontal boundary we have. And right along this boundary here and just to the north and west of it, we're likely going to be seeing that heavy rain happening as that moisture gets pulled up and over that cold frontal boundary and into that forcing that is going to be out in front of the low. So likely in this region right here, we're going to be seeing that right on that axis of the higher dew points is where we're likely going to be seeing that heaviest rainfall here. Likely not in the higher dew points, which is, thank goodness, they're not back a little bit further, because we would be looking at an even worse event occurring here. But we are going to be seeing that heavy rain just due to that forcing here. So a little bit of good news, I guess you could say, but it's still going to be producing widespread flash flooding across the aforementioned regions of Woodward, that small region of southern Kansas here, into Canadian, down through the Amarillo region. So what are models pumping out in terms of rainfall totals right now? Well, it's going to be several inches here, especially in a narrow band where that low tracks. Out in front of where that low tracks is where we're going to be seeing these heaviest rainfall totals occurring. Let me just bring this out so we can see the fullest extent here. There we go. You can see widespread 3 to 4 inch band of rain does develop here across southern Kansas down through the Woodward, Oklahoma area here. And then just south of Canadian Texas, we're going to have to be watching this closely as to where this band is developing, because last couple model runs have thrown it into the Canadian Texas area here. And then the next model run brings it back into more of the beef of Oklahoma here. And looking at that, it actually does bring it into an area which is slightly more susceptible to flash flooding, as the flash flood guidance is a little bit lower here in this area that the models have shifted this band into. So definitely something we need to keep an eye on in terms of a nowcasting sort of aspect, just due to the fact that we are in a more susceptible area for that flash flooding here across western Oklahoma, where you're only needing about 2.5 to 3 inches of rain to get flash flooding rolling here. And this 3 to 4 inch band here, that will more than exceed that over a 6-hour period. So definitely needing to watch this quite closely. And we have seen a slight drop off in rainfall totals. We were seeing some 5 to 6 inch totals in here. So would not be surprised with that at all, seeing slightly higher totals, as models have been pretty consistent with dropping a smaller band here across this western Oklahoma region, kind of in that Woodward area of about 5 to 6 inches. So we'll see how that trends as well. Would not be surprised with the amount of moisture we're working with here and the amount of forcing, if we are able to get those higher rainfall totals. So here is a look at that low that we're looking at. Big bulbous low ejection happening across the southern plains here. This is all that forcing, this deep blue color. That is what's going to be breaking that cap so we can get this potential tornado event rolling. Not that we're hoping for that, but it looks like what's going to be happening here, as models have been trending a little bit greater with that surface-based instability. And it's also going to be what is going to be forcing all of this air up out in front of the low in order to get these heavier rainfall bands, banding features, all out to the northeastern side of this tracking low, this ejecting low across the southern plains here. So definitely a lot to be watching. Definitely favoring kind of this sort of area here a little bit further south than before, as models have started to shift. But it does look like from Woodward, Oklahoma, south and east to, I'd say, like the El Reno area here, that's going to be the extent of your flash flooding threat there, the highest flash flooding threat. And if you are able to get over 2.5, 3 inches of rain, flash flooding will become likely out in front of this low pressure center here, in about that 150-mile wide band of rain that's about to set up across the area into the overnight hours tonight and through the day tomorrow. Likely going to be a quick moving band of rain, but a heavy band of rain, as you were seeing when we pulled up the simulated radar on the models here. So definitely going to be updating you guys on this as anything else is coming out. Any new developments, we'll make sure to update you on it. But definitely looks like this slightly southern trend is occurring here, which is not what we wanted to see, towards more the body of Oklahoma here, the eastern side, or the western side of Oklahoma here. Sorry about that. So definitely something to keep an eye on, and be safe and heed any flash flood warnings that you may get in this area tomorrow. Make sure you have a plan to potentially get out of your area, out of your home, wherever you are, if flash flooding does occur, especially if you are near any riverbeds, low-lying areas, anything like that. And again, as most meteorologists say, turn around, don't drown. Have a great day, everybody, and be safe out there.